Welcome back to No Apologies, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I am your host, Lori Hins, in for Becker, who is on assignment or somewhere. And with me from Ladies of Another View, Patty Armstrong. Very happy to have you co-host.
Oh, thrilled to be here.
All right, remotely from Hawaii, we have for you Kaimi Pelekai, who is captain of the Honolulu Fire Department. Kaimi, thank you for being on with us.
My pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
We really want to talk to you because so many things are going on in Hawaii right now with regarding masks and mandates and passports and all of the things. And you have been just crushed by oppression there. And I want you to talk a little bit about, first of all, what it's like for firefighters, because you are a firefighting captain.
Yes, that's correct. I think it's not unsimilar like other jurisdictions in our country. When COVID hit, there were policies put in place to keep health workers like firefighters, like paramedics, like police officers, like nurses safe. And counties and municipalities worked hard to get us safety equipment. And so for the last year and a half, or however long COVID has been here, we've been doing our job. We've been on the front line treating patients with COVID. I said in my news conference that, I've spent the last year and a half, I've done CPR on COVID patients. And we've been very, very safe. So I've been COVID free, even though I've probably encountered more COVID positive patients than most people ever will. And so when all of these vaccine mandates came out, especially for us as first responders, it didn't quite add up. If I spent the whole last year working on COVID positive patients in their most, infectious time of having COVID,
Sure.
And I never got COVID, why do I have to take a vaccine? So it just didn't make sense. And that's how all of this kind of came about.
So from whom did the mandate come down? Is that your governor?
Yes, it's our governor. I think it was August 5th. He put out what was then thought of as a vaccine mandate and across the entire state of Hawaii. So in Hawaii, there are 4 counties, and I belong to the city and county of Honolulu. And it was our mayor who took his mandate and interpreted it in a way that forced vaccination on public employees, city and county employees. And as things progressed, the other counties, as well as the state itself, chose to see the governor's proclamation as more of a testing mandate. So 3 counties and the state chose to see the governor's mandate as a testing mandate. It was only the city and county of Honolulu that saw it as a vaccine mandate. So our lawsuit was focused primarily on us being treated differently than all the other government employees.
So you put out a lawsuit, and when you put forth this lawsuit, was it just from the firefighters, or was it from a broader group of some of the other first responders, EMS, and those people?
Yeah, it was from the majority of first responders, so people in the fire service, the police service. In Hawaii, we have the paramedics, the EMTs, and then we have our lifeguards, our ocean safety.
Oh, the lifeguards too?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel for them,
right?
Beyond us, because firefighters, paramedics, even police, we have the option to wear masks. Maybe police are the least protected because they don't have the direct contact with patients that the fire and the paramedics do. So we have full-on respirator masks, goggles, shields, but the lifeguards, they can't swim in the water with any of that.
Right.
So they, just like you and me, maskless, and they'll swim into 40-foot waves and they'll grab patients. We don't know if they're COVID positive or not, and they'll swim them in. And they've worked on protocols. When they bring them up on the beach, then their partners will come and bring them masks and face shield. But up until that point, they can't swim out there to save somebody with all of this N95 stuff on. So they're really risking their lives every single day doing this. And they've been able to stay relatively healthy and COVID-free as well. So,
100%.
So to force vaccinations on us when we're the ones working on these patients just didn't make sense.
Right.
Kahimi, I want to talk a little bit about the press conference, but first, what % of these first responders are part of this lawsuit that don't want to get vaccinated?
Every department's a little bit different. I will say unfortunately, we are not the majority here in the state of Hawaii. And that leans itself to, I think, a lot of people out there, and this is really tough. And that's where this whole division between those that are vaccinated and those that are not, it can get a little difficult. And I feel like the vaccinated people felt like it was their civic duty, right? In the beginning of all of this. And they chose to get vaccinated, and we support them in their decisions. So many, many people in Hawaii have been vaccinated. I think it's close to 70% now. So in the departments, we are the minority. I can't give you the exact numbers, but unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And
so what is the outcome of your lawsuit? So you brought the lawsuit. Was it ruled on now, and how did that go?
It's still in litigation, so I can't really do much about it. Yes, it is. We're still fighting in court for that.
You are. Very good.
I would love you to tell us, what kind of choice do you have between getting vaccinated, what that means for you, or what? Tell us what that means.
Right. So then I'll get back to how the different counties in the state interpreted all of this, because it's just mind-boggling. So the governor came out with his mandate, and he basically says, get vaccinated or get tested. And it was only our mayor that saw that as an opportunity to kind of hold a hammer or hold a sword over certain people's heads. So for all of the other counties, 3 counties, as well as state employees, they had to fill out a single page piece of paper where they had 3 choices. They just had to basically check a box. So the first box was, I'm vaccinated. The second box is, I'm going to start getting vaccinated. And the third one is, I'm not going to vaccinate, I'll just test. Basically, that was it. And that's what they did. The other 3 counties, nothing more than that. They just were able to choose. They didn't have to declare their religious beliefs or find a doctor who would put his medical license on the line to sign a medical exemption. They could just, but for the city and county of Honolulu, and I can't say it was the mayor or if it was some person in HR, I don't know who decided to go in this direction. We had to fill out a form that says we are vaccinated, and we'll disclose that. We are going to get vaccinated. We are going to file for a religious or medical exemption. And then they gave us a 4th option. We won't do anything. And if you chose that, it would lead to termination. So at this point, the majority of people either check box 1 or 2. And then there are those of us who submitted medical or religious exemptions. And I think at a certain point, I think the mayor thought there weren't going to be very many people who wanted a medical or religious exemption, but it's turned out to be about 900 people in a workforce of about 9. And that was more than he thought. I mean, Hawaii is a pretty blue state, so most people are compliant. So to have that many city employees not want to be forced to take the vaccine and willing to file for a medical or religious exemption pretty much shocked him. Because if you look at the timeline of all of this, they had no plan at all. So the governor's came out on August 5th. As a fireman, we work a shift schedule. So I didn't get my paperwork until August 13th, and it had to be in by August 16th. And that was me. There were guys who didn't get their paperwork until after the 16th, because that's how the shift work, plays out.
Sure.
So it was just, it was a difficult situation for a lot of people. And
Amy, we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to continue with your story when we come back. Stay with us, you too. Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. We're your after-hours oasis of sanity, as Becker says all the time. With me, co-hosting tonight from Ladies of Another View, Patty Armstrong. Very happy to have her. And I'm very pleased to have with us, remoting in from Hawaii, Captain of the Honolulu Fire Department. This is Kaimi Pelekai. Thank you so much for being on with us. Such interesting information, because you guys out there are going through so much. And we just want you to know that our hearts are with you and supporting you, because we don't have such mandates here in North Dakota. We've been very, very fortunate. So I watch with frustration what y'all are going through.
Yeah, it has been frustrating, and especially for, and I'm not the only one. There's firefighters in California that have reached out to me, Oregon, Washington, and they're all facing the same things, and they all feel the same way. When we signed up for this job, we knew what we were getting into, and we willingly sacrifice our lives, and we sacrifice our time with our family to serve our communities. Like I said in the press conference, when people are running out, we're running in. When the bullets are flying, we're police officers jumping in front of them. Paramedics risk their lives every day with sick people. They can catch diseases from them. And then lifeguards jump in the water every day and risk their lives to save people's lives. And we signed up for it. We know that that's the case. And it just feels so disheartening to have your boss or your government say, yeah, we know you guys will risk your life, but you know what? We don't think you can take care of your health, so we're going to make you take this vaccine. And that's just very hard to take. I spent my whole life being good at my job, helping people, and I think I can make intelligent decisions for myself. And when I've spent the whole last year and a half treating people who are COVID positive, literally doing CPR on them, and I have not gotten COVID, the government wants to come in and say, well, you're not intelligent enough to be able to take care of yourself, so roll up your sleeve and take the shot. And it just didn't make sense. And I don't think it makes sense to a lot of people out there. So that's where we are. We're fighting that.
It's so frustrating. Now, I'm wondering if you can speak to what it's like in Hawaii with regard to the economy and tourism and some of the things that maybe people from the mainland don't know are going on in Hawaii. I've heard horror stories of people not having the right documentation and getting stuck in a hotel and being forced to stay in the hotel.
It's such a oxymoron of circumstances. Our government wants tourism. They need it because businesses are shutting down. So they invite all of the tourists to come, and then when they get here, they arrest them. It's like mind-boggling, and albeit they say they're arresting them because they came to Hawaii with falsified vaccine cards. Okay, but how can you prove that? So I have no idea what's going on as far as that's concerned. And then you take the next interesting point is that tourists can gather, but local people can't. So the tourists come in, they'll be gathered. As long as they don't know each other, they can stand around in groups of 50 people. But if you have a family wedding, the police will come and shut it down because you all know each other.
Wow, I didn't know. North Dakota was one of the earlier states to open up, and I didn't know there were still states saying you can't gather more than 50 people. But Hawaii, apparently, oh my gosh. And you've got a lot of, go ahead.
Our county just re-mandated this whole gathering thing. Our mayor just came out and said, you can't have more than 10 people indoors and 25 people outdoors. And then he had his birthday party with 23 people indoors.
Of course
every
he
time,
did.
every time.
Hypocrisy,
yes. Every
single time. That's so frustrating. Do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly. So, it's very hard not to feel this overwhelm and this suffering, with everything that's going on. And it's been amazing. Within all of this, I think we've all found our path closer to the Lord. And we've had to really rely on his word to get us through all of this.
Amen.
It is literally like being persecuted. And because of all of that, it's kind of caused a shift in our direction out here in Hawaii. And I think what we're going to be implementing, an outreach kind of program, we hope to have an impact and help people.
You just transitioned just beautifully into what I wanted to talk about next. So I understand that you decided that it is time to be a little proactive about people's health and wellness. And what a novel idea. I mean, somebody call up Fauci on this one. What a great idea. So you took it upon yourself, I understand, to put together kind of a program and a website so that people can focus on staying healthy rather than necessarily what you do after you have already, but you can, give them suggestions and advice also after they start feeling symptoms as well. But what a great idea. Speak to that.
So what we found out, President Biden likes to say this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, which is absolutely not true because many of us are unvaccinated. We've been working around people this whole time and not gotten COVID. So what is the real situation? And what it's come down to is this is a pandemic of the underinformed. It's a pandemic of people who don't know what to do to keep themselves safe, sanitary, keep their families from getting COVID. And when we saw that there was that lack, basically what happens in Hawaii, if you go get a free COVID test and you turn out to be positive, nothing happens. There's no information for you. There's nobody for you to call. Many people who turn out positive call 911 and just freak out over the phone. And we know this because we're the responders.
Right.
So it's clear that there's a piece to the puzzle missing. And in all of this, we realize that, we can fight for our jobs, but there are still people dying of COVID. So how do we stop that from happening? And the reality is we created a phone number. There's a call center, and it's all of us volunteering our time to answer phone calls and just talk to people who are scared. They're just afraid. They're like, I just got my COVID test back. It's positive. What do I do? And we're not doctors, so we don't tell them what to do. We just talk to them and say, there's lots of information. You can go here. We got a website with information. You can go there, talk to your doctors, but you don't have to get excited. And one of the biggest things we're doing is we're just driving around and dropping off pulse oximeters so they can take their oxygen reading.
Sure.
And that phone helps a lot of people.
Exactly.
Kahimi, what you're saying is amazing because we have all this COVID money, but it takes volunteers, and God bless you for doing this. But this might have been a good program, a good way to spend some of that COVID money.
And Kahimi, in the last couple of seconds here, I just want to tell you that you are an inspiration to those of us who are watching you. And we have been watching what's been going on in Hawaii. So I want to just thank you for all that you are doing there for not only the people of Hawaii, but we're getting inspiration all across flyover country here as well.
Yes.